Hey everybody, welcome to another video by 520fishing.net. My name is Moose. I'm going to be shooting your video today. And today I want to talk about how to tie a fluorocarbon leader to a braided line. And what I did was I went out because I remember when I was trying to learn this stuff, and with the magic of the internet, you know, I spent a lot of time looking through different knots and things like that and videos online, and it was just kind of visually difficult to see what people were tying. So what I did was I took some cotton cord, just some regular cotton cord, and I darkened it with a Sharpie. And then I have another piece of cotton cord that is left alone white. So what I'm going to do is, once we get past this introduction, I'll stop the video and then I'll actually bring it back on where you guys will be able to see this thing right down on the table and me actually tying the knot. Now I know visually it's not going to look as appealing as what your fluorocarbon will actually look like with your braid, but the idea behind this video is to actually show you a representation of how this knot is tied. So I think it's more important that you actually see the motions of what this knot should look like. We'll take a lot of time doing it, make sure that everybody's on the same page. And like I said, even though it's not going to look visually like, ooh, the important part is that you guys understand the idea of how that knot's tied. So stick around and I'll be right back once we get this camera adjusted. Alright, so here we are. And once again, I've represented these lines by coloring in this piece of white cord with just a regular black Sharpie, right? That's all I did. I didn't do anything special to it. So don't think there's any camera trickery going on. This piece of line, I just left white. So we'll go with the dark piece as our braid, and we'll go with the white piece as our fluorocarbon or mono or even a copolymer if that's what you decide. I mean, everybody's different. I get it. Whatever you guys are tying to your braid. So I tie a really simple knot. To be honest, I'm not even sure what the name of this knot is. I guess it could be some type of Albright knot, or it could be some type of it's not going to be an Alberto knot, but nonetheless, it always works for me. I've never had any problems. Yes, I've had line break. A lot of times I'll tie like an 8-pound leader, and it's my own fault because I'll get excited, caught up in the catching of fish, and I'll forget to retie after I've caught a couple of big fish. So my fault, but I've never ever had that knot break. I always test it before I put a line or a lure on it, so I know it's nice and solid. Once again, never ever had this knot break. I'm sure there's going to be people out there who disagree. They think there's another knot. There might be, and that's okay. It's just all right for everybody to have a different knot they tie. So what I do is I start with my braid, and all I do is simply create a loop down here at the end. I don't twist it over. I don't do anything other than just double the line over. I come down to the end and I pinch it. So all I've in essence done is taken this piece of line, folded it in half, and then pinched it right here at the tip. That's it. Nothing else. Everybody on the same page? We're not doing anything funky or anything like that. Just doubled it over. I pinched the end. Then I take my fluorocarbon and I send it up through the bottom of the knot. Doesn't matter if you want to go through the top, whatever. It's your preference. Doesn't really make any difference. Oops. I just slid on my hand. So in essence, all I'm doing is sending that up through the top. Okay? That's it. It's just through the top. So if you lay them out, that's what it's going to look like. So I've pinched it. I've sent the knot or the fluorocarbon up through the bottom. I pull out plenty so that I have plenty of line to work with. And then comes the tricky part. I've pinched it here with my left hand. Now I'm going to take my right hand and I'm going to take over the pinch from my left hand. See how tricky that was? I went from that to that, and then all I'm doing is just pinching all three of those lines with my right hand. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this fluorocarbon and I'm going to wrap the fluorocarbon 7 times around the braid. So there's once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. So all I've done is wrapped my fluorocarbon around my braid 7 times. I'll lay that on a table so that everybody can get a look at it. You can see the white line wrapped around my black colored line. Then I'm going to take my tag end of my fluorocarbon and I'm going to come back the opposite way so that I'm not sending it back over the top. I'm going to come from the bottom into my knot again so that it's basically coming out the same way as the first one did. Can everybody see that? Let's see if I can get it right there. So they're both over top of that braid. And then I'm going to cinch my tag end and all of my lines together at the same time. At least I'm going to give it a shot. It's a little hard with this cord, but in essence, you see how these are starting to bundle up right there? I'm going to keep pulling, helping it along, helping it to get nice and tight. And if you look at that knot now, all of my fluorocarbon is wrapped around that one little piece now that's sticking out the end of my braid. And then I'm going to cinch them nice and tight. I'm going to grab my 2 main lines and I'm going to pull on those super tight. And if you take into consideration how big that line is, you can see that that knot itself is very small. It's very thin. Nice, strong knot. I don't want to pull so hard that I break my fluorocarbon or you'll be cussing and cutting off your line again. And then what I do is I take my scissors, I trim off my tag ends. I always try to leave about 1/16 of an inch. It's kind of hard with this cotton. I always try to leave about 1/16 of an inch, just in case. And once again, I pull this nice and tight, just double checking it. And there you go. Now you've married your 2 knots or your 2 lines together, nice and tight. It's a great, easy knot to tie. Once again, you can see how small that knot is when those lines are laid out. I don't have any problem with that, even winding into my reel and then even casting back out. It's very, very tiny. I don't have any issues with this. And once again, if we look real close, let's see here, you can see that the only part of that, the representation of the braid, is barely sticking out the end, and it's just wrapped with that thin fluorocarbon line. So you've got 2 lines that are basically about 8-pound diameter. Generally, I fish 20 to 30-pound braid, just depending. If I'm on my lighter spinning rod, I use 20. If I'm on my heavier action spinning rod, I use 30-pound. And then usually I tip it with an 8-pound, sometimes a 10-pound fluorocarbon, but that's a great, easy knot to tie. I think you guys are really going to have substantial luck with that knot. It will not break. If you make sure that you've cinched it down nice and tight, obviously not forgetting to wet this when you guys are pulling it tight. That's the important part. Obviously I don't need a wet cotton line, but that line or that knot will hold. I mean, I've got some on some of my rods where, you know, my leader is 9-10 feet long, depending upon what I'm doing. And I intentionally make it that long because as I'm changing baits or, you know, whatever, or if I decide to go to a drop shot, you know, and I've got to take, you know, 10 inches off, if I decide to switch over to something else, then I've still got, you know, I can tie a few more on. But once again, that's a great knot. Watch this video again. If you guys have any questions, ask. If you need something more in detail, let me know. I'll retie another one. All right? Take care, guys. Hey, so there it is. So there is my version of how I tie braid to fluorocarbon. Once again, you can see how thin that knot is in comparison with the 2 pieces of cord that I'm running here. Like I said, this knot for me is one of the simplest knots that I've used, and I would say that the knot itself is quick to tie. It doesn't take a long time, especially if you're out and you're just in a hurry to kind of get it done. It really just happens fast. Don't forget to continue to watch us at 520fishing.net. You can check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/520fishing. And we're going to be running some contests soon, guys. So now is the time to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you haven't done both, you cannot win. So make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel and that you like our Facebook page, and you possibly could win some really cool prizes, especially our grand prize at the end of the year, right around Christmas time. I want to have a really nice grand prize for somebody out there, and I think you guys are really going to want to see this one. So do those 2 things, and we will catch you next time here at 520fishing.net. Take care. I'm Moose.